Hi, welcome again to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn, and today we have Irish ales. I figured that would be appropriate. I'm dressed in my Irish fisherman's sweater. My, what's the name of the sweater, Margaret? Aran Islands sweater. I should know that since I got it in the Aran Islands. And Margaret is feeling a little bit under the weather, so she's not going to be joining us today. But St. Patrick's Day is coming. I figured we should probably focus on something somewhat, a little bit Irish. We already did Irish stouts, so really the only other style that I could think of was Irish red ale, if you will. So I got a bunch of them here and just wanted to talk a little bit about the style. Before that, I wanted to get to the comment of the show. Real quick, a lot of times some comments get through or don't get caught up in my spam filter, unfortunately, so I like to give a chance to some of the best ones and just read what was caught. So, again, sorry guys. All right, so this comes from By SEO Articles. So, By SEO writes, "An amazing share. I simply given this on to a coworker who was carrying out a little study on this. And then he, in fact, bought me dinner because I discovered it intended for him." Giggle. "So allow me to reword that. Thanks for that treat. However, yeah, thanks to spending some time to discuss this specific. I feel clearly about it and love looking through more on this specific topic. If it is possible, as you become know-how, would you head updating your blog site with more information? It is hugely helpful for myself. Big brows up for this blog post." So thanks, By SEO, or should I say Mr. Articles, for that lovely comment. And for the rest of you guys, keep your comments coming. Can't guarantee that they'll end up on the comment of the show, only if they get caught up in my spam filter. So, the Irish style, the Irish red ale. I'm going to go right out there and say it's not even really a real style. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's not really that much of an Irish style. They certainly drink, nice amber malty beers in Ireland and have for a very long time, but I don't think they ever referred to them as red ales necessarily. Not really that I could see too easily. Really what happened was there were some old historic breweries in Ireland that got bought up and kind of exchanged hands, and one of them eventually fell into the hands of Coors, who decided to make a little beer called George Killian's Irish Red Ale, which is actually a lager. And that kind of caught up, created a sensation, and really ever since then it's just been big in other places outside of Ireland. I mean, it's not that they don't like those styles of beer in Ireland, they do, they just don't kind of identify it as a national style. It's really stouts. The dry stout is the drink of the beer of choice of Ireland, unless you want to go to mass market lagers, which is really the beer style of the whole world at this point. So I've got a bunch here, and since this is such a style that has kind of been bastardized a little bit and taken on by countries other than Ireland, I have here 5 Irish style ales, none of which are brewed in Ireland, including the Murphy's. So we'll start there with the Murphy's Red Ale. So we've had Murphy's Stout on the show before, which is a pretty famous dry stout. My collar, I just popped my collar. Do you like that? And this is their red ale. This is brewed by Heineken. Murphy's is owned by Heineken. So this is actually brewed in Holland. So Irish style red ales. What can you expect here? They're going to be a little bit amber. They are going to be low in hop, high kind of malt flavor, a little bit caramelly, which is pretty historic to general flavor profiles that you would expect to see in Ireland, much for the same reasons that you get those same characteristics in Scottish beers. They don't really have easy access historically to hops. They had to import the hops. obviously importation, taxation, all those sort of things lent them to kind of shy away from the hoppy beers and go towards, you know, more roasty or malty beers. So let's look at this one. The Murphy's Red is really more of a kind of a copper color, pretty light, brilliantly clear, fluffy white head here. Looks like there's quite a bit of carbonation, and yeah, I'd say kind of copper burnt color. In terms of dates on all these are all seasonal beers, so they're all fairly fresh. I haven't really gone to too much extremes to try to decipher brewing codes or anything like that. For the Americans, they're all within the bottling date for sure, and yeah, well within, you know, a month to 2 months of the best by date for all of them. Yeah. So just wanted to get out there. That's why I'm not going to be talking too much about them. I'll try to give information on pricing when I can, but I'll have that at the descriptor down at the bottom if I'm not sure of exactly how much they are. Like the Murphy's, I think it's $9 a 6-pack. So you're actually getting a little bit of kind of like a floral European style hop in there. Very light malt. Pretty, not a ton going on. A little bit of like a sweet malty character, not quite bready, more like a slight hints of caramel. Yeah, kind of a little floral, a little caramel. So very easy drinking beer here. Malt dominated. You get a tiny bit of hop character, very much the same as you did in the aromatics, kind of a little bit of a floral character. Light bitterness, light malt flavor. Just really a very clean, easy drinking beer that has a little bit more of a malt character than you would expect from, let's say, a Heineken or something like that. So very easy drinking, not a lot going on here. Can't say. It says premium Irish style red ale brewed to the original recipe. You know, this is a beer that you could drink quite a few of. I don't know why you necessarily would need to. One is fine for me. It's fine. It's fairly unremarkable. Not good, not bad. I'm gonna go 85 for it. I mean, it's fine. 84. I'm gonna go 84 because, I mean, if it's just fine, then it's not really that good for the people who are watching this show now, is it? So 84 for the Murphy's Red Ale. Moving on. Harpoon Brewing out of Massachusetts. I believe they're Massachusetts, right? One of the older, Boston, Mass. One of the older craft breweries that I can remember in the country. We've had their IPA on in the past. All right, here we're finally getting into some red looking beer here. Very kind of brilliant, like fiery rust color. Again, very clear and quite a bit of nice sudsy off-white foam. Okay. So, a lot more of the caramel character here, a little bit of toffee, not overstated, still awfully clean as well. A little bit of kind of like a fruity ester as well, giving a little bit of that same kind of floral characteristic. And almost like I want to say almost like an almondy flavor. I'm getting like reminiscent of like almost like a little bit of a marzipan aroma here. Yeah, so some sort of a candied sweet. Okay. fuller mouthfeel than the Murphy's. Still, you know, fairly light in the mouth, but it's got a nice kind of soft feel to it. You do definitely get that caramelly note to it. Easy drinking beer. I think we're going to see a lot of these beers are highly sessionable beers that you can really kind of sit down and drink throughout the night without having too much problem. Not much bitterness here or malt character or hop character. I'm tasting just a hint in the back end, and I think that's really to keep it drinkable, kind of keep things balanced out. But the malt is definitely the player here, and a lot of kind of like those caramel malt flavors to it. Toffee, caramel, hinting towards maybe a little bit of that biscuity flavor, and that odd kind of like almondy fruitiness as well. Decent beer, you know, isn't really doing it for me personally. Would I drink this beer? Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely not have a problem drinking this beer. So I'm going to go a little higher for this. I'm going to go 87 for the Harpoon Celtic Ale Irish Style Red. This comes in at $8.99. So again, you know, a pretty affordable beer here. We have a lot of beers here, so that's kind of why I'm keeping it moving. Sometimes when I do 5 beers, it gets to be a little bit long here. Just want to read. I mean, they're just flat out saying it. You know, perfect for St. Patrick's Day celebrations. You know, people are known to drink more than one beer on St. Patty's Day, and there is a reason why these seasonals come out this time of year. I mean, so much of the craft beer market is driven by their seasonal offerings that people just want to have something always new, always, for the consumer to see. Oh, this is new. I want to get it. I want to get it. So, you know, people do drink beer. I popped my other collar now on St. Patty's Day. So, you know, I think it's fitting that they would do their Irish style reds, especially since, you know, they're kind of like a brew pub beer that you see quite a bit. All right. Next is, oh, I still have my little sticker here. I'll take that off. Got this off a Mix a Six Pack rack, so I didn't have to buy 5 different 6-packs of Irish beers. This is the Great Lakes out of Cleveland, Ohio. This is their Conway's Irish Red, and this comes at $9.50 a 6-pack, I believe it was. Handcrafted Irish style ale, named after Patrick Conway, the grandfather of the co-owners Pat and Dan. 6.5% alcohol. There you go. Okay. Kind of in between with the color here between the first two. A little bit of like a copper, hints of red, really kind of like a fall leafy color. Again, very, very brilliant beer and quite a bit of carbonation. So all kind of keeping very much in that same spectrum. If you're going to be associating yourself, I mean, this is the first one that isn't called a red ale, but you can kind of see why. Okay. Well, this one smells quite different from the rest. A much, much more pronounced nutty character to it. A little bit of like an ashy, almost leafy, like dry leafy aroma to it. Not getting too much of the hops here, but that's just fine because I am liking the malt character here quite a bit. You are also getting the caramel malt as well. But that kind of like dried leaf nuttiness, I don't know, it almost reminds me of like in fall, which is kind of funny because it's spring now, when there's when I was a kid, we'd have this big acorn tree, and all the leaves would fall off and the acorns would fall, and you'd just be kind of walking around in the leaves with the little acorns all over the place. And not to get too kind of reminiscent, but that is kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm smelling that beer. Well, Certainly the best of the bunch so far. Really nice, drinkable, enjoyable beer. This is a beer that I actually wouldn't mind drinking, a bunch of throughout the night. Really nice malt flavor. Dry at the end as well. It kind of leaves your mouth with just enough bitterness. And that's not much at all, but just enough bitterness to give it a nice dry feel to it. I think you also get that from some of the roast as well. Just a hint. Gives you a nice dry feeling at the end, while still giving you plenty of that nice round, rich, nutty malt character. Really nice beer here from Great Lakes. I'm gonna go 91 with this. It's a solid beer and really interesting aroma as well. Yeah, I like that one. Very good beer. Next, we have the Boulevard Irish Ale. Any info here? Time on tradition. Blah 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 blah. No, I mean pretty generic. I don't even think they say anything about Ireland in here. So anyway, Boulevard, another kind of old school micro brewery from Kansas City, Missouri. I kind of like the Celtic lettering here. And hey, Margaret, what's the name of that ring with the heart in it?
Clado ring?
The Clado ring is on the front, which is, yeah, kind of like a Galway thing, right?
Yeah.
Really brilliant crimson dark color here. This is a nice looking beer. Almost like the color of like a Munich Dunkel, something like that. Really fiery looking. Like hints of almost like a blackish red. Nice tan looking head. All right, so somewhat subdued nose, more along the lines of the first two. I'm getting a little bit of like a nice warmed toffee in there. Not quite butterscotch, but like that kind of caramel sauce that you drizzle over a dessert. A hint of roast in there, not any hop at all. I think you're kind of getting where these beers are going. Okay. You do get a little bit of a hop character here. Not a lot of, there's a little bit of bitterness as well. Actually, certainly more so than the previous three. Easy drinking beer. Light malt profile. I mean, if I'm gonna try to really dig stuff out, you're getting light amounts of toffee, light amounts of caramel. I'm saying this stuff over and over again. No really fruity esters. There is more of just a clean hop flavor to it. A little bit of kind of like a soapy aftertaste as well. But decent beer. I'm gonna go 88 with this beer. I guess these beers just aren't my favorite. Although I did think the Conway was really kind of nice and a nice change from it. But perfectly fine. And really, honestly, if you are going to be out at a bar and you're going to be drinking quite a few beers, you can't really handle a hop slam all day long. People, I'm sure try, but they're not going to make it very long throughout the day. So in that context, I mean, this stuff is miles and miles and miles above, certainly like a Miller Lite or something like that. But for my money, maybe like a really nice Helles or a really good Pils would probably be the way to go. But if you want to keep with the Irish or Guinness, honestly, I'd reach for a Guinness before most of those. Maybe that one. I like the Conways, actually. All right, and the final one. Also not from Ireland. This is Weckford's Irish Style Cream Ale out of England, brewed by, I think, Green. Let me see if I can see who brews this beer. Maybe if I keep spinning it in my hand over and over, it'll say. Recipe from County Wexford. A lot of people like that there's original recipes from Ireland. Okay. But who makes this beer? I don't even know. This is $8.99 a 6-pack. This is, I think, $8.99 a 4-pack. So kind of pricey. Oh, here we go. Green King. Yeah, Green King Brewing Company, Suffolk, UK. This is Irish style cream ale. Very, very well-known style of beer. The Irish style cream ale. This, I'm going to say, is the first Irish style cream ale I've ever had. It does have the nitrogenated can with the widget, quote unquote, in there. And you can see it's going to take a little while to settle there. Get a nice kind of creamy head on top of it. Honestly, it's a lot darker than I thought it was going to be from a cream ale. Cream ales typically are like a lagered ale, typically have some adjunct in it, like a corn, something like that. And really, from an American standpoint, are ale brewers' response to the popularity of lagers in the pre-prohibition and post-prohibition kind of regional brewery thing, for lack of a better term. But yeah, nice kind of golden copper color. I do really like how this beer looks. I guess maybe from the color of the can, and the fact that they're saying cream ale, I thought it was going to be a lot lighter than this, but let's give it a try. Okay, whew, all right, well, there's definitely diacetyl in here. Pretty buttery. Diacetyl is a compound that gives a buttery flavor to beers. Oftentimes it can be attributed to some sort of brew house issue, or more commonly, dirty lines in a bar. So if you ever taste a beer that tastes like kind of like sour butter, something like that, you've got a bad beer line and ask for a new beer. But I digress. Yeah, kind of like a buttery, woody flavor to it. Maybe this is intended. Some people really like that buttery flavor in their beers. I'm trying to see what else I'm trying to get past there. It's funny, once I smell that butter, I kind of like lock in on it, and it's hard for me to get past it. But yeah, I mean, look, woody, earthy. Yeah, it kind of tastes like nasty artificial butter. There's more hop bitterness than I thought, but it also got a weird kind of like the nitrogen almost makes it taste like oily and slick in my mouth, and it's just like something I want to be off of my mouth. Not a good beer. Certainly not a $10 4-pack beer. I'm gonna go. I mean, if this is a 84, this is like 74. This is not a beer. I mean, this I'm going to pour out. I'm not going to take another sip of that beer. Maybe I'll let Margaret try it. One of those, this is gross, try it. One of those deals. That's about it. So yeah, a big thumbs down to the original Wexfords. You know, maybe some of the imitators are good. I don't know. But the original one, I can say, sucks pretty hard. So there you go, guys. I had to do an Irish show. When you're out there on St. Paddy's Day, reach for a Guinness or a Conway's Irish from Great Lakes. Other than that, let me know. There's so many Irish ales out there. Please, by all means, let me know, and let the other people who watch the show. If you know of one that's awesome that I should be trying, let me know. I'll give it a whirl on St. Paddy's Day. And the good place to do that, you can just shoot me an email directly, or to help everyone out, you can just leave a comment on this episode on the webpage, or you can hit me up on Facebook and Twitter. But until then, I've got a good beer to drink, and hopefully you do too. See you guys.